For the People with Lou Ismay.
Humans, you and I, are part of nature. And nature has some rules. One of the most difficult for us to understand is something about monoculture. Nature is variety. Nature is not the same thing over and over. If we have fields of grain and we depend on those for our lives and economics, that becomes a monoculture, and that has to be maintained in some way. It will not survive by itself. So, if we want to raise grain, for example, every year, we have to supplement at some point. We have to add fertilizer, for example. We must add that fertilizer every year if we want to maintain the monoculture of that particular agricultural product. So, in the process of maintaining a monoculture, we must always apply something special. We may have to apply herbicides or pesticides or high-powered artificial fertilizer. Something has to be used. And in a way, it sometimes seems if we are governed by that monoculture, we must do something to maintain it. We must all work together in order to do that. And so our thinking becomes kind of monoculture-based. Now, in one sense, it's a very dangerous thing because we get so accustomed to it that it becomes sort of a domineering, could always be sort of a white superioritism. We may not think of it that way, but perhaps we should. We believe that, and we found out something going back, about 100 years ago. In Nazi Germany, a pretty tough period of life for life on Earth. It was determined that if a lie is repeated enough times, people will accept that as truth, and that they act in that manner. So they believe the lies. They've changed their own culture and those of people around them. So it's a very difficult question these years to talk about white supremacism or any kind of such thing because we believe differently. We're not looking at all at the same things, and we sort of become divided. And that makes it very difficult. Our current administration, Mr. Biden, is striving in every day to make some changes that overall will be very effective in helping us to recover our economic situation. Get to the point where we more of us are thriving. So it's something to think about. Now, we have to also decide, each one of us, what kind of a person do I become. We make that choice for ourselves. It's an important choice. What kind of a person do I want to become? What kind of a person do I need to become in order to be able to work with other people? All sorts of things on that one simple question. Have we ever thought about that? Well, some people decide they want to be the best cook in the world, the best scientist in the world, the best person to get along with. Others maybe decide to be unbending, even hateful. If you watch some of the TV programs, they're based on violence. People come together, have issues with one another, end up fighting. You need to have security people there to keep them apart. So we have been changing. Are we changing for the better? That's the question each must ask. So, can we get to the point whether we get together with people to discuss the issues that we need and leave the word politics out of the discussion? Politics tends to be a game. There is a very old saying, you may have heard it, you may even hear it again in the future. Women are girls grown up. Women are girls grown up. Men are boys grown tall. Men play games. Men play games when they were boys. They still play games when they are taller and older. Well, warfare is a game. In our military, it's a theater of operations, a stage of operations. It's a game. Have you thought about it that way? Maybe we're talking about a little stretch here. We have to reach a little bit to ask the questions. But are these questions worth answering? Oh, at one time earlier in our career, we suggested that there are kitchen tables in the United States. Many kitchen tables in the United States. Could one or two or three neighbors be invited once a week for coffee or tea to discuss the issues that trouble all of us? Every one of us needs certain things, whether we want to recognize it or not. We do need clean air. We do need clean water. We do need healthy earth. How do we get those things for our neighborhoods? Because whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we do live in a neighborhood. Now, some of us are so fortunate that we can live in a gated neighborhood. We can hire people to build a gate around our neighborhood, or entrance to our neighborhood. Is that a monoculture of a certain kind? Maybe there are some advantages in terms of income, but what is it really? To what extent are we contributing to the well-being of all of us? It's the well-being of people around our globe, around our palaces, around our mountain. It's us, we. We have some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. We're seeing them on television and in movies and so forth. One thing, elementary children say things that have a lot of wisdom in it. In my experience, teaching elementary school or being taught by the students, because I had to learn something, there was a war going on in Korea. Many, many, many people were being drafted. Some say that there were too many people of one particular color were being drafted. One of the children lost his father, U.S. Army, Korea. Very, very, very upset young man. A marvelous kid. And he was angry. And he was so angry at me one day to explain himself that he took one hand and wiped it across the top of his other hand and said, "Look, the color does not come off. The color does not come off." This is who he is. In my experience, that was to me a key point. I have no idea where he is now. But wherever he is, he would be making some sort of a positive, useful gesture toward a better society. Have you ever thought about that? How we judge without realizing that we judge. And justice is a key element. And someday we'll get into talking about this some more. But there are two important principles: justice and judgment. Can we have any justice in the world for all without good judgment on the part of our leadership? Maybe we should set in our minds, and we'll do it someday soon, come back to this idea of judgment and justice and see what you and I and others can do about at least establishing the principles of good, sound judgment in the leadership that we select to be our leaders. So we at least have an honest, forthright base of something. So, this may not be an evening to get into this, but we will another time. In the meantime, pay attention. Pay attention to what is happening pay attention what needs to be done to resolve all of the important issues that we humans are facing, and issues, many of which are of our own creation. In the meantime, be well. Good night.